Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ishim, Barakah Kudash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who ruled and teach well, and peace and salutations to Ahchyam out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video. And I'm going to start it off with John 15, verse 20, which is Yahushai speaking. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. Yahushai was persecuted for preaching the truth of the scriptures, and it's going to be no different for us. Persecution was always a part of the job description when you put your hands to the plow, Ahchyam. And if you have that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see this persecution campaign that the powers that be are building against us. You had that shooting in New Jersey by a so-called black Hebrew Israelite, and then you had that Hanukkah stabbing in New York by a Jake. And when the news reported on it, they referenced the Hebrew Israelites, but they gave it that negative and false connotation of the black Hebrew Israelites. And it's only going to get more intense from here on out. Don't be surprised if you see an even worse false flag terrorist attack that they blame on the so-called black Hebrew Israelites. 2020 has been deemed the year of the prophecy, and it's already started off with a bang. These Edomites have their backs against the wall, and they're about to pull out all the stops to do anything they can to keep this prophecy from coming to its fulfillment and to keep their kingdom from coming to an end. Some brothers will be thrown into detention centers, tortured, and even put to death. But if that's your lot, you should endure all things like a good soldier of Yahushai HaMashiach, because what happened to Yahushai when he was persecuted and put to death? Now he's sitting at the right hand of the Most High, waiting to return and save the rest of the elect. And if you endure whatever your lot is until the end, you will be of that elect number. You're going to receive a crown from Yahushai, and you're going to be the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven, helping to rebuild this earth and putting your foot sideways into the ass of these heathens, chiefly these Edomites. And in this video, I have a video and an article to show some of the things you brothers should expect once these Edomites really drop the hammer of persecution on us. And the video is titled, If They Did This to Him, Imagine When They Come for Us, Revelation 2 verse 10, and that title says it all. And this video is from a brother in GMS whose page is titled, GMS Will Hold Firm, Bardos.
Hey guys, Tyler here with Secure Team. It's good to see you. I know many of you have been wondering where I've been, and suffice it to say, it's been a very traumatic and tough past couple of months, and an even worse past couple of weeks. The original reason I stopped posting videos is because I started going across the country to film a new documentary that I've been wanting to work on for years. Then I started getting threats to shut my channel down, to stop what I was doing.
A couple of months ago, I remember a brother who posted a video of a phone conversation he recorded from an alphabet boy or somebody in one of these agencies like the FBI who called him and threatened him saying, we know you like looking up little girls and stuff like that, trying to intimidate the brother because he's standing firm in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, pushing this word and revealing who you Edomites are and what you've done to this planet. And you brothers shouldn't expect anything less.
To basically cease and desist my truth seeking and to stop digging around, as they called it. I denied those requests and I kept going. And before I knew it, one night I was sitting in my house. I remember falling asleep, and the next thing I remember is waking up in my car with a police officer outside of it, who then charged me with DUI. Now, if any of you have known me for any number amount of years, and my family will tell you this, I'm not a drug addict, and I certainly do not drink alcohol. I think I've maybe drinking a drink of alcohol maybe once every year, and that's usually at New Year's. So immediately I knew I was being set up for something. But I went to jail. I protested my innocence.
That's how serious things are going to get. This guy isn't an alcoholic, and he was sleeping in his house, and the next moment he woke up, he was in his car with a cop who pulled him over, saying he was going to be arrested for a DWI.
Released that same day, and within a week or two, the police here where I am staying got a phone call, an anonymous phone call, that I was beating my girlfriend at the house we're staying at. The police showed up, and like they usually do in domestic violence situations, whether there's evidence or not, they usually take someone to jail, usually the man. My wife protested and said that I hadn't touched her and that nothing had happened. But the police nonetheless put me in handcuffs and took me to jail. I was put under a probation hold with no bail and spent a week in jail being threatened and beaten by guards at the Knox County Jail. I was told to keep my mouth shut if I knew what was good for me. They didn't specifically mention my channel, but I understood what they meant. Now I know there's...
This is Matthew chapter 10. I'm going to read verse 16 through 20. That guy gave an example of what some of the brothers are going to go through. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Yahushua put an easy yoke upon our necks. All we have to do is go out on the highways and byways and preach this word, put up our video epistles, and show charity to the brothers. Nothing more, nothing less. We don't have to go that extra mile trying to show that we're a G.I. Joe wearing army fatigues, bulletproof vests, and walking around with guns. You jakes are going to get a lot of Israelites killed, and you're going to be some of the first ones that Edom rolls up on to persecute. And you're not going to get the same mercy that the men of the Lord that are doing what we're supposed to do, being wise as serpents and harmless as doves, are going to get. You're really going to get that work from Edom in those torture chambers. Verse 17, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. But beware of men. Beware of your so-called friends and family in this world, your woman, your children, and even some brothers. Because once this heat of persecution is really turned up, you're going to see how everybody really feels about you. The FBI and the police are going to visit your friends and family and your woman and tell them that you're involved in some illicit activities. And don't be surprised if they turn you in, especially if there's a reward on your head. And even some brothers are going to turn you in because they were never fully rooted in the truth. And they're going to buckle under that pressure when they really get pressed. And there are also going to be some brothers, well, some so-called brothers in the truth who are actually agents, gathering information on you and on the camp and relaying it back to their bosses so they can build that case against you. And where it says they will scourge you, some brothers will be tortured. As that guy in that video said, he was beat up by the police and they told him to be quiet if he knew what was good for him. Some brothers will be roughed up, and some brothers may even be waterboarded, go through sleep deprivation, be starved, or anything like that, so they can break you down to turn in the other brothers or take the mark of the beast. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Some brothers will be brought before these higher-ups in society, these mayors, these governors, the president, and even the elites, such as the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, as a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But don't be afraid, Ahchyam, because as it says in verse 19, but when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. If Ahchyam is really dealing with you, he's going to give you everything you need to go through that situation. And we have a perfect example of Yahushua and how he dealt with getting persecuted. This is Matthew 26. I'm going to read verse 59 to 68. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushai to put him to death, coming up with any false narrative to accuse him with, same as they're going to do to us. Oh, you're a black Hebrew Israelite. You're a black identity extremist. Oh, you're a domestic terrorist. You post hate content and conspiracy theories online. You're a rapist. You're a pedophile. You're a woman beater, etc., etc. Oh, look, we have footage of you robbing a bank or shooting up a kosher deli. Remember, the powers that be have that deep fake technology out there where they can create a computer-generated image of you and your voice committing some violent act. Esau Edom's got his back against the wall, so he's about to pull out all the stops to come against us, to keep prophecy from being fulfilled and to keep his kingdom from coming to an end. But it's all futile. Everything's been set in stone. Verse 60, but found none. Yeah, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of the Most High and to build it in 3 days. They couldn't get anything on Yahushai, so they had to nitpick everything they could. Again, same as they're going to do to us. They're going to take our thousands of hours of footage from the internet and chop it up and take everything out of context to paint a picture that we're complete animals. Oh, look, they say there's going to be slaves. Oh, one people's greater than another people. Oh, they're talking about putting people to death. Oh, they say America's going to be destroyed. Verse 63, but Yahushai held his peace, and the high priest, Slaki, I think I skipped 62, and the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee? But Yahushai held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living power, that thou tell us whether thou be Hamashiach, the Son of the Most High. Yahushai said unto him, thou hast said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and the coming in the clouds of heaven. Yahushai remained calm and collected, and simply preached the scriptures. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witness? Behold, now ye have heard this blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, thou Hamashiach. Who is he that smote thee? Thou shalt be scourged before them.
There's been some videos posted showing my mugshot, my charges, and this and that, but I have to tell you, all of you guys right now, this is, if there ever was, a setup. All of you who know me, you know I'm a kind man. I couldn't hurt a fly, let alone a woman. So immediately I knew I was being set up for something.
Slovakia.
County jail. If there ever was a setup. All of you who know me, you know I'm a kind man. I couldn't hurt a fly, let alone a woman or my wife. I'm certainly not a drinker. I don't do drugs. And so, it seems to me that when the threats to shut down my channel failed, that they upped the ante. They put me in jail under false charges, to which I've organized a team of lawyers. But this is really tough. I spent a week in jail. I was beaten by guards. I was told to keep my mouth shut. And this whole thing has been so traumatic, I've had to go on antidepressants because I've been suicidal. Apparently, something I've said or revealed in one of my thousands of videos has upset someone, rubbed some.
And this guy isn't even preaching the words and the prophecy, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So how much more us?
Someone the wrong way. But I want you guys to know, you know who I am. The 2 million of you who've subscribed to me, and those of you who've been with me from the beginning, know that I'm a good man. I wouldn't hurt a fly. And this past week, having been in jail and just being released, I can tell you that there's something much bigger going on. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to grasp it. My lawyers are doing their best just to try to figure out what's going on because none of it makes sense. My wife doesn't understand it because none of it makes sense. I don't understand it. What I can gather from all of this is that these people out there who would want to silence you, they are real. And they have the muscle and the power to silence you. And that's what they've tried to do to me. When it didn't work when they threatened me and told me to stop talking and to shut down my channel, and I said no, that didn't work. So the next step is to arrest you on a bunch of false charges and to ruin your reputation. Have a bunch of people online posting videos of your mugshot and your charges, trying to ruin your reputation. Because if threats don't work, then ruining your reputation is the next step.
Now the chief priests and elders and all the councils sought false witness against Yahushai to put him to death, ruining your reputation to make you look like public enemy number one, the greatest threat to society out there. That's it with that video. Now I'm going to go to my article on activistpost.com titled, UN Receives Reports That U.S. Citizens Have Been Tortured, just to further illustrate to you, Ahchyam, the seriousness of the times we're living in. The reports are in, and the conclusion is unavoidable. A number of American citizens are stating they have been tortured by their own government. Back in 2004, the world was given a glimpse of human rights violations executed by U.S. soldiers and contractors in Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. The violations include rape, sodomy, torture, and murder, all coming to the streets of the United States of America when all hell breaks loose and you have these FEMA troops, NATO troops, and mercenaries out here. Soon after, allegations of torture via waterboarding came to light. Under pressure, President George Bush announced that the U.S. was ceasing these activities, which he insisted on terming as enhanced interrogation. Bush refused to admit that waterboarding, which involves simulated drowning, constitutes torture. President Trump has signaled that he desires to reinitiate waterboarding. It works, he stated. Hey, Trump's looking to be that dude. But these are all foreigners, right? No one would dare torture an American, right? Recently, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture, Niles Melzer, issued a call-out for submissions from NGOs, which are non-government organizations, UN agencies, state parties, and academia requesting input on psychological torture. As a result of this request for submissions, Special Rapporteur Melzer has been deluged with reports from NGOs, U.S. citizens, and others claiming that the U.S. government has put them into weapons testing programs without their consent. The reports submitted revolve around no-touch torture, claims involving deployment of electronic and chemical weapons. Hey, they don't even need to physically torture you when they get their hands on you. They can use no-touch methods such as electronic and chemical weapons. The mainstream media has for some time sneered at such claims. However, when U.S. diplomats were assaulted with electronic weapons in Cuba and Canada, the U.S. press dropped the slurs and took the reports, at least of the diplomats, seriously. Earlier reports had determined that similar weapons were deployed against the U.S. Embassy in Moscow for at least 2 decades. According to the recent report submitted to the UN Special Rapporteur by PAX International, members of our community experienced the same symptomology of no-touch torture as recently experienced by the U.S. diplomats to Cuba and China, which included nausea, headaches, sleep problems, vertigo, hearing loss, and memory and cognitive issues, along with the following forms of psychological torture. And a lot of these symptoms can also be caused by Wi-Fi radiation in your house, which is only going to be further exacerbated as 5G gains more of a foothold in society. Workplace harassment, which may lead to termination, vehicle tampering, computer tampering, email tampering, phone monitoring, 24-hour surveillance, home entry, gaslighting, involuntary detention in a mental facility, vehicular stalking, organized group stalking, community-based harassment, blacklisting, and much more. And Ahchyam, don't be surprised that the authorities are monitoring your phone conversations, your texts, what you look at on the internet, and may very well have sent some people while you were away to set up cameras in your home. Remember, we're enemy number one. The pact's submission, which was signed by over 50 individuals from the US, China, Canada, and Europe, went on to quote Dr. Robert Duncan, who has worked on sensitive projects with DARPA, the CIA, and other agencies to wit. The US military and the CIA have been researching a number of interrogation and behavior modification protocols, such as induction of manic/depressive states, various methods of verbal abuse, memory erasure using drugs, use of fear tactics, gaslighting, stalking, mock burials and executions, etc. Remote mind manipulation. Every drug effect can be artificially induced in the target's mind, including those of poisons. Imprisonment and isolation, personal and spiritual defamation. And all that sounds like some projects from MK Ultra, which if you brothers don't know about that, you better look it up. Pax goes on to quote Cheryl Welsh, founder and director of Mind Justice, as follows: the psychiatric sequelae of PT, or psychological torture, are severe. They include delirium, psychosis, regression, self-mutilation, cognitive impairment, and anxiety disorders, including post-traumatic stress disorder. Neuroscience research on these and related mental disorders continues to establish their neurobiological underpinnings, thus challenging the popular view that PT is not physical, not serious, and perhaps not even torture at all. In a separate report to the special rapporteur, mental health professional Tina Henderson, MA, LCSW, explained how people get chosen as test subjects. These type of torture programs are being carried out by state and local fusion centers across the United States. They are being done covertly and apparently being paid for with tax dollars. Typically, persons can be placed on a watch list for minimal reasoning, such as putting so-called conspiracy theories on the internet, which can lead to acts of domestic terrorism, like going to shoot up a place in New Jersey. Once on the list, they can be extrajudiciously used for non-consensual human experimentation, which may include the use of military technologies. And being held against your will sounds like the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA of 2012, where you can be held without trial indefinitely for being considered a domestic terrorist on U.S. soil. Henderson went on to explain the effects of being placed on the watch list. As per above, most programs designed for psychological torture are based on the idea that a person's symptomology will present in such a way that makes them appear mentally unstable. In this way, individuals enduring psychological torture have a disincentive from speaking out for fear they will be labeled as mentally ill. This is just one more form of psychological torture, not being able to ask for help out of fear. And when the powers that be really bring about this demonization campaign against us, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. They're going to look at us as black identity extremists, racist, hate mongers, domestic terrorists, terrorists with link to Islamic extremism, etc., etc. They're going to be happy that the powers that be are abusing us and detaining us. Henderson went on to note that one example can be seen in the use of what is known as the voice of God technology, whereby individuals hear voices via technology transmitted waves. This is utilized for the purpose of intimidation and control. It is also known as V2K. Individuals presenting with this issue would be seen by doctors or psychiatrists as psychotic and mentally ill. They would be placed in mental institutions which would serve the interests of those doing the torture because confinement represents control. In fact, fear of being labeled as crazy is not the only disincentive for U.S. torture victims to get help. There are legal disincentives as well. 20 or so torture rehabilitation agencies in the U.S. are restricted through the stipulations attached to their HHS funding and will not assist domestic, on the home front, torture victims. The sole federal law governing torture defines it as something occurring outside the borders of the U.S., therefore making it impossible for domestic victims to sue. So pretty much, you're at the mercy of the U.S. government if you're tortured inside the U.S.'s borders. However, some of these agencies appear to also deny the existence of torture in the U.S. When asked if U.S. torture victims had contacted the Center for Victims of Torture, a Minnesota-based organization, media representative Jenny Bowring McDonough reverted to the fallback of mental illness and replied that CBT has served small numbers of U.S.-born individuals whose torture occurred outside the U.S. over the years, and we continue to receive calls from U.S.-born individuals with a variety of mental health concerns, including those having nothing to do with torture. Bowring McDonough added that we direct all U.S.-based callers requesting help with torture, blah, blah, blah. When she was informed that the organizations listed in the link would not provide assistance to U.S. domestic torture victims, she cut off contact and refused to answer any further questions. There appears to be only one organization in the U.S. which provides services to domestic torture victims. The Chicago Torture Justice Center was founded in 2015 as a result of the disclosures that police officers in Chicago had tortured a number of Black Americans in order to secure false confessions. The center does not accept HHS funding and has focused its efforts on police brutality victims in Illinois. This guy was a victim of police brutality. Trip Oldfield, director of another torture rehabilitation organization, opined that torture services were not needed for American citizens because the U.S. has an intact legal system known as the criminal justice system, justice only for criminals. However, given that there is no right to sue on the federal level for torture in the U.S., and given the mounting concerns that the judiciary in the U.S. is compromised, Oldfield's assertions do not pan out. In addition, when queried further about the contacts he had received from U.S.-born torture victims, Oldfield also reverted to the mental health fallback, stating that these people appeared to be afflicted with mental illness. The mental health fallback is politically convenient. It serves to buttress the perception that the U.S. does not torture and further assaults the mental integrity of its victims. Josephine Grace submitted a declaration to the UN Special Rapporteur through the organization Targeted Justice, which she also sent to this reporter. She wrote me, "Please list my name and Springfield to everyone so everyone knows who murdered me when I died." Her experience of electronic torture at the hands of the U.S. government reportedly began when she engaged in anti-nuclear activism. 1980, woke up one morning with tinnitus, high ringing, ever-changing shrill sound in ears, while peacefully, legally gathering signatures to put issue on U.S. Ballot regarding stopping construction on the only nuclear plant in Missouri, Callaway Unit, until a national radioactive waste repository is built to store spent uranium fuel rods. Her detailed account includes the following. June 2016, perps outside home 24/7 after let go from job, using handheld DEWs to cause spot-specific remote torture on different parts of the body. They didn't even have to touch her physically. Heart pumping so fast, hard think it will burst, but only upon laying down at night. Sudden pressure in head, feels like it will explode, but only upon laying down. Extreme shaking from vibrations inside body, as if electric current running through physical body. Top of head feeling numb, and pressure like band around head. Sizzling in head, as if bees in a bonnet. Sleep deprivation begins. June 2016, entire south side of home begins to register in danger level magnetic 9 on EMF reader set on 0 to 3 magnetic. During day, began to experience eyes literally jiggling in socket, organs shaking in abdomen, extreme exhaustion, inability to make decisions, short-term memory loss at home, decide to start blog, first time in life to document what was happening, as had no idea. As succinctly stated by Tina Henderson, there is no law that protects American citizens from these kinds of torture. In the U.S., only non-Americans seeking political asylum are protected from torture. You can be a born U.S. citizen and be subjected to all psychological and physical torture in America. That's pretty much it with this article. Hey, Ahchyam, we got some serious things coming our way, but don't be afraid, because when Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is behind you, who can stand in front of you? Close it out with Revelation 2 verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, because the Most High didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of peace and understanding. Behold, the devil, Esau Edom, El Diablo, the deceiver, shall cast some of you into prison. Ye shall be brought before councils and kings and governors for testimony against them and the Gentiles, that ye may be tried, scourged, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which just means a complete amount of tribulation for whatever your lot is. Be thou faithful unto death. If your lot's a martyr, then so be it, and I will give thee a crown of life. You'll be of that elect number, the first fruits in the kingdom, being crowned by Yahushua himself and putting the world back in order, as well as, again, putting your foot sideways in the ass of these heathens, chiefly these Edomites. So with this video, I hope you sincere Ahchyam were edified. Just keep strong and keep preaching this word, because we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathens, chiefly Esau Edom. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Bal, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.